All right, hey, here we go. Here we go. I should probably come up with a new opening. Get rid of that old one. But, okay, so I got the new mic. It's got the little fuzzy thing on it, so hopefully it'll be okay on me, help me hook it up. Let's talk about behind the cue ball and in front of the cue ball. I talk a lot about this when I'm training people. And basically, the concept is that everything that happens, let's call it like biomechanically, basically where your stance is, where your arm angles are at, everything like that, where you're lined up with your chin, everything, all of those things that are like the biomechanics, the physical things, those are happening behind the cue ball. Like if you think of the cue ball, it's actually behind the cue ball physically. And then there's other things that are happening, and that's in front of the cue ball, meaning at the strike point of the object ball, let's call it. And we'll refer to it as thickness, okay? Thickness. Because in pool, there's an order of how that I play pool and how I teach pool. And there's thickness first, there's speed second, and there is spin last. Spin gets set as a sprinkle. So when I'm playing pool, the first thing that I look at is the thickness, meaning like where do I have to hit that object ball to pocket the ball? Okay, so thickness is first. If I don't hit the correct thickness, I'll miss the shot. And then thickness also allows us to determine the physics, meaning what the energy transfer is from the cue ball to the object ball. Okay, the thicker that I hit it, the more energy transfers to the object ball. The thinner I hit it, the more energy stays with the cue ball. And then because of that energy transfer, then I'm able to determine speed a lot of what's going to happen with the speed of the shot. Because the thickness affects the speed because of what I just explained. And then thickness also does the geometry, meaning where is the cue ball going to angle off after it contacts the object ball. So that's the other part. So the biomechanics behind the cue ball, the physics, energy transfer, thickness, and then geometry is thickness too. So that's kind of the way I think about pool. That's how I teach pool. And so those are the three things that I'm considering when I'm shooting a pool shot, okay? And what I'm trying to explain with, or what I'm gonna explain, is what I mean behind the cue ball and in front of the cue ball, because there's certain things that you don't wanna be thinking about as you strike the cue ball. All of those thoughts, the behind the cue ball thoughts, they need to be determined and visualized and sort of made at peace with before you shoot the shot, before you fold to the shot. And then by the time you're down, you can have a little bit of a check while on those items, like, am I this, am I that? You can do a little bit of that thinking while you're folded down and you're kind of pre-stroking and thinking just to verify everything is like you think it's supposed to be when you're down on your shot. And then once you're ready to rock, then you're gonna deliver your cue through. And when you deliver your cue through, you have to be in front of the cue ball in order to make the shot work most successfully. If you're shooting and you're thinking behind the cue ball, meaning I'm wondering if my arm is straight or not straight, and I'm striking the object ball, it's a very, very, very distracting thing, and it doesn't work for your aim. It doesn't work for the execution of the shot. You basically need to have your thoughts being forward of the cue ball. Like by the time you pull back on your final stroke and you get ready to hit it, your thought needs to be forward of the cue ball at the object ball with that visualized shot. Okay, so you're pushing forward through. And one of the reasons why I say it needs to be forward of the cue ball is because you're accelerating even on soft shots. You're always accelerating with your cue stick. And so that acceleration is forward. Even on a soft shot, it's an acceleration. And so that acceleration is a forward movement. Okay, so being forward of the cue ball, meaning as your tip pushes through, your thoughts and your energy and your focus needs to be forward of the cue ball. You don't want to be behind the cue ball thinking about where you're striking it and things. You want to be trusting that and training and learning to build that trust. Okay, so the way the way that I'm going to explain it in like bit by bit is to say, okay, I've got a shot here and I want to hit a stop shot. Okay. If I hit a stop shot and it goes on this side of the pocket, when it's kind of straight here, that cue ball is going to shoot off a little bit over here, okay, to the right. If I hit a stop shot and I hit it a little bit over to this side of the pocket, it's going to kind of tangent line over this way just slightly, okay? Depending on the size of the pocket, these are 4 1/8 pockets. If it was a bigger pocket, it would go farther off the object ball, but these are pretty tight, so it's not going to go super far. Same with drawing it or anything too. If I hit it to this side of the pocket, the cue ball is going to hit over here and it's going to be able to draw back to this direction. If I hit on the right side, your left, a little bit, it's going to hit on this side slightly and it's going to draw over to here. So that's why thickness is so important. Depending on the size of the pocket, where you hit the object ball, if with draw, you could scratch or hit here, basically. I mean, there's a range, right? And so I just did a video where I explained there was a ball here, the cue ball was here, ball was here, and I had a draw and I chipped the 8 off to the rail. Well, I said, well, I just kind of offhandedly said that's thickness, okay? And the reason why it's thickness is because if I look at this thing and I hit it perfectly straight, I'm coming towards here. Now, if I move this over, it exaggerates the line a little bit and it's gonna come on this side of the pocket. So, so we can kind of, let's just go. Okay, we got all the time in the world. So I'm gonna draw and try to hit the left side of the pocket. Okay, see how far over it came? Now I just barely missed it because I was really literally trying to jam it into the facing, just like that. So when I drew it back, I was able to pull it all the way outside of the zone that I even thought. So now let me see. So let's just say that zone was roughly, I don't remember where it hit, right in this area. So let's just put this to where I hit it, okay, with a draw shot. Now I'm gonna hit in the center of the pocket. Okay, not in the center, that went right there. So instead of going into the face, it hit over to the left side and it came here. So now the center would probably draw me to a scratch. Let's try it. Try to hit one in the center. There it is. Ooh, right to the point, almost a scratch. Okay, so now we're seeing thickness and how thickness affects the shot. And this is why thickness is so important. I can probably go from here with thickness, roughly. Let's see if I can hit the 2, just cheating it over a little bit to the left. Yeah, I even went farther down on it, on that side. Okay, so we can go to here, roughly, because that one went in and hit the facing, and it can go all the way to here in center. That's a pretty wide range, and then I might be able to cheat it out to here. So let's see how far I can cheat it up table. Yeah. I'm gonna hit it on the right side with draw. Oh, I gotta get it on the spot correctly. We've gotta have accurate data. Okay. Try to hit it on the right side of the pocket. Yeah, kind of what I was thinking. So that's a very wide range of outcomes, okay? It's like 2 diamonds difference. So that's why thickness is so critically important, because where we hit it in the pocket is going to determine our position. It's critical for making the ball and it's critical for playing position. It's absolutely fundamental. It's critical. Okay, so that's cool. So I'm just kind of like, this is super unplanned, this video, other than I just wanted to show you this behind the cue ball. And then I thought, well, let's talk about some other stuff while we're rolling, because we first have to explain what are we thinking about behind the cue ball? What kind of behind the cue ball thoughts do we have? So an example of a behind the cue ball thought would be where I'm trying to hit on this rail with draw. Another example could be I'm training, right? I'm practicing, I'm training, and I want to slow my stroke down. I noticed when I hit those first ones, I just turned the camera, I've been working all day, I'm not super dialed in, I'm like jabby, I don't want to chip it into the camera, I'm just whatever. So I want to slow my stroke down. So that would be behind the cue ball, that idea of slow acceleration, okay? So what happens is, if that's my thing that I want to work on, then when I design the whole shot and I'm trying to draw right back to here, well, let's just try to draw to this point, okay? So we have a very accurate thickness. We're doing drills, 50, 80, whatever. We're trying to get to this point, see how many we can get. Now I know that I want to smooth it out. Okay, so I come down on my line, I do all my pre-shot thing, everything, and I visualize my thickness, and I visualize this point, and now it's just a thought of slowing down. And maybe on the first couple shots, it's gonna be a little bit in front of the cue, behind the cue ball, meaning to see what happens with my stroke. I might not be in front of the cue ball, but I'm gonna have to once, twice, and slow it down. Ooh, nice shot. So what I'm saying is when I go once, twice, by the time I trigger that, I have to be in front of the cue ball, meaning every biomechanical thing, cue angle, tip position on the ball, my stance, my stroke, slowing it down and delivering it through, everything is behind the cue ball. But when I fold and I look, and at that point that I go to strike, I'm ahead of the cue ball and I'm on thickness, and I'm forgetting and trusting everything back here, okay? So I go back and I send it through, and all I was thinking is right before I struck, I thought, just be slow and be smooth. So I pulled back, slow and smooth, and I hit a really nice shot. And so that's what I mean by in front of the cue ball and behind the cue ball, and that's how I train. And so if something else popped up, let's just add some complexity to problem, right? Okay, so now I'm trying to draw it, and I've been spinning it off to the right like this, watch. Watch the cue ball. It's spinning, okay? Well, I hit it, unintended right spin, your left. And I saw it spinning, and I'm like, oh man, whew, I'm spinning the ball, what's going wrong? And I say, okay, I can't do everything at once. I'm not gonna worry about smooth, I'm not gonna worry about this, I'm not gonna worry about that. What I'm gonna worry about, for me, I wanna come through straight on the ball and not have it spinning. Okay, I wanna be coming through straight. So I'm gonna have a behind the cue ball discussion and plan with myself, and I'm gonna say, okay, this one, and especially if I hit 3 or 4 that way, I'm like, okay, my correction is to go through straight and finish off to my left, like thinking left of my finish so I can hit it straight. I'm not gonna sit there and stare at the cue ball and go, hit it straight here, go. Like that's not how it goes. That's not how I do it, because that's all behind the cue ball. I make all of my considerations and my thoughts behind, all my behind the cue ball's happening right now, right here. This is all behind the cue ball, and even my follow through, which is technically in front of the cue ball, it's passing the cue ball, but all of that is still sort of biomechanics, and I consider all biomechanics behind the cue ball. So I'm not really thinking about that when I strike. I'm doing all of that thinking and planning, and everything happens right now as I'm down. So I go through my process, and I just go to that one thing, which is finish through to my left to get it to go straight. So I'm just fast forwarding like how I would do this after several attempts, and I come down, my only thought is finish off to the left, so I go through straight, and I trust it. Okay, so I make all my adjustments, and then I go back to thickness, and I hit it, and I watch it. And it actually, I went through to the left enough where I put a tiny bit of inside twist, not inside, but left spin. I finished left and actually put just a tiny, tiny little fractional bit of left on it. So that was fine. So then I go, okay, that's cool. But see, do you notice how I wasn't overwhelmed with making the adjustment? That's what I see a lot when I'm training people and I'm trying to explain, this is the adjustment I want. And it's like, well, you just told me some other adjustments 5 seconds ago, and I'm concerned and I'm worried about those things. Well, that's a different issue. Like, I don't want to stack things up on top of people, but one of the reasons why they feel overwhelmed is because, this is why I made the video, is because if you understand behind the cue ball, in front of the cue ball, and you understand how to compartmentalize these ideas, you have an overall like approach to striking the ball, so you can stay super present and super repeatable. So no matter what I'm doing when I'm training, if it goes wrong, I can just be present enough to pay attention to the cue ball, watch the object ball a little bit, and diagnose what's happening, and then try to make a correction. And the thing is when I make corrections, I'm not staring at the point of the cue ball and trying to hit a perfect center strike on the cue ball. I'm understanding that that's, for me, completely suboptimal for me to be behind the cue ball striking the object ball. So when I do these 50-80 drills in shots, basically when I make a mistake it's almost entirely I was too behind the cue ball. I was thinking about my arm. I was thinking about not chicken winging, whatever. And basically what I'm saying is that when I am training and I notice that I'm starting to lose the shot, it's typically because I'm behind the cue ball thinking about something, either my stroke going through straight or my leg position, whatever, or smoothness of stroke, I'm trying to really hit it, or I'm soft in my grip, all these little dynamic points that I'm trying to get to. But what I'm trying to tell you is, if you go through this process and you think about all the things that I just explained as being behind the cue ball, and that by the time you trigger, you need to be in front of the cue ball and pocketing the ball and on thickness, and everything behind has to be trussed at that point. I think you'll like it potentially. You might. I don't know. Some people look at the object ball last, and then everything's behind the cue ball. I guess you just reverse what I say, but I don't believe in that, and I don't subscribe to that, and that's not what I train, and that's not the way I play. So I'm just teaching what I do, trying to help you if it helps. So that's it. So, this is part of the puzzle pieces to developing a game and developing a practice routine and developing an understanding of how to strike the ball and how to ensure there's acceleration, because if you're going forward through and you're going to the object ball, it's easier to accelerate. If you're trying to strike this ball accurately behind the ball, it's like I can hit a shot like that. Of course, I can hit a really nice shot, and I was staring at the cue ball there. So if you want to look at the cue ball, look at the cue ball. But what I'm saying is, that can work, but what I'm finding through all my training, and I'm talking about thousands and thousands of shots, is that it's very suboptimal for me to be behind the cue ball, and that I want to be having trust and all the inner game of golf, all that stuff is trying to quiet down a golf swing and get to the strike point, basically. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do with pool is just focus on the strike point and trust all of the biomechanics, the physics, and the geometry of the shot that I designed before I fold. And then when I fold, I'm forward of the cue ball and I fold into the shot. Shoot through the shot, forward of the cue ball. Okay, so let's just move it, shoot a little different shot than a straight-in shot. Okay, so now let's look at this, all right? Can I hit this dot from this angle? And the answer is, it's tricky. I have to hit like a wiping kind of low to kind of stun across. So it's like if I hit just a follow shot, the natural rolling angle will bring it at this shallow of an angle, it'll bring it to go more forward, okay? So, and if I stun it, it's gonna do the, tangent line thing, and it's gonna come out and come this way. So to get this particular angle here is a tricky angle to get, but I didn't practice this. Let's just look. So I'm designing the shot, and this is how I would play in a real game. And I would say, okay, I got to get to that dot or that zone or whatever, and I calculate. So first I look at thickness before I start looking at side spin. I don't look at right English anything or left English. I don't look at high or low yet. So I'm looking at thickness, and I'm saying, okay, if I hit this thing through center pocket and I roll it in, it'll probably roll across this line here. So I need to get it to come back in this direction. What's one thing I can do? I could hit it a little thicker, because then it would glance and come back this way a little bit. If I hit it really thin, it'll push through. If I miss it, the more I miss it, the more it comes down this way thin. So thickness could kind of bring me back this direction. So I look and I think, okay, thickness, I like thickness. I at least need to consider that I should hit it thicker rather than thinner, and that I know that there's a wide range with how it can react depending on the shot and how much travel you have after it strikes. But I know that there's a range. So I know that I have to consider where to hit it in the pocket. And if I hit it straight and roll it, I know that it's going to come across here. So if I could either hit it lower, I could just hit it in the center and make a decision. If I'm going to hit in the center, then I have to drop my tip down and stun across, like kind of stun run through, kind of like wipey stun to this spot, because it's not a full stun shot. And then I have to look at it and think, okay, well, because of this shallow angle, I at least want to try to go a little thicker than less thick. Because especially if I was playing and there was balls here, and if I went here, I'd be in big trouble, right? If I would run into the balls. So if that was the case, and I wanted to come across and play position on this ball, and I wanted to be here, so I had an angle to get up to this 8 ball, let's say, and I didn't want to draw it across here because there was another stripe. Let's just pretend that this is the angle. So I make all these calculations and I say, okay, I define my zone and I come over here, and let's just say I go through that process and I decide it's right there. Then I design and I say, okay, all that's designed. Thin puts me into those balls. If I go forward, so I got to hit a little thicker potentially, and then lower. There's where my and I'm talking English for spin is more side spin. I'm talking about vertical access is the first thing I consider, and then side spin last. I mean, as far as spin's concerned. So first is thickness. I'm determining where to go and what advantages I have to going thick or thin, and thickness to get it to make it, of course. And then I go on the vertical access and I consider that, but I also consider speed because of thickness. If I need to come over here, I can't hit it soft because I'm going to hit it kind of thick, and it could die and hook me here behind these balls. So I kind of need to hit it and get it some extra speed here, more than I think because it's a little thicker. So that's where the speed comes in. And then I go into the spin and I say, okay, I need that draggy, wipey spin. I don't need any right spin or left spin or anything. And then I design all that. Okay, so I go through the whole process, I'm sorry. And then I say, okay, and then I look and make sure, okay, if I get there, I'm ready for the next shot. Totally fine. That's all behind the cue ball, next shot, future stuff. Who cares? Not who cares, but like that stuff eventually has to go away. Because once we get down to the shot, now we're getting closer. Now I'm starting to slow down and get close. Not slow down, but I'm starting to really consider the shot. And I have all of those design elements, where I'm going to strike the cue ball, the thickness, first the thickness, then where I'm going to strike the cue ball, and then the speed, and then any possible spin. And I'm calculating all that. And then I come down. And once I come down, I fold on my line. And now the shot is over, as far as I'm concerned. Now I just have to verify a couple items, visualize the shot, and then once I go, it's trust to try to get it to that spot. And it's once, twice, and then it's trust. Just like that. And that's how it works. And that's a great shot, especially when I'm explaining it to you guys, because it was a trickier angle than it looked. And then I go on to the next shot and I do the same exact process. I consider the whole shot. On this, I'll consider thickness first. I need it to come up table. Thinner's better because then I can hit it softer and I can let the physics help me play position instead of the muscle and the biomechanics and all that stuff. And then the angle is determined and all that. So that's kind of the way it goes. But what I'm saying is that's super critical. Like, this is the whole main takeaway of the video, hopefully, is that all of that process of discussing and thinking and those 3 items that I consider, when it comes down to shooting time, I fold, I make my verifications, and then I'm completely forward through thickness and I'm accelerating through. Okay? What I mean is, by the time I'm like ready to strike, it's like a pause, a breath, one last visualization to make sure everything's good, and then I pull back and everything is through forward of the cue ball, and that position is trust. Every single time it's trust. It's just trust. I'm just trusting my shot. I'm trusting everything, everything behind the cue ball, all the pre-shot stuff, all the design, all the everything is kind of behind the cue ball stuff. All the thinking that I do up here is I'm actually standing behind the cue ball. All that stuff is happening down. Once I'm down and I verify, and once, twice-ish, and I like it, now it's all accelerating to that spot, or not the spot, that picture, that thickness, that ghost ball, whatever, and trusting the result of the shot, the outcome of the rest of the things. All of it's trust. Now, that's all I can tell you. Hopefully that helps. I don't know. I've never seen anyone explain it like this, and I'm willing to do it for you guys. So hopefully this helps. And let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or if you did this and if it worked or didn't work or whatever, or if I wasn't clear enough, just hit me up. But this has been on my mind, and I wanted to show you guys a little bit. This is kind of like my shot design routine, which I've made some videos on, and then this is my concept of being in front of the cue ball. And when do I need to be behind the cue ball? When I'm designing, when I'm thinking, totally behind the cue ball as I walk around the table. Like I'm actually behind the cue ball looking at the shot, okay? Even if I walked around to that side, I'd still be technically behind the cue ball with my thinking, meaning all that stuff. Anything when I'm training, biomechanics wise, is totally fine. But when you strike, you need to train and get in the habit of striking through in front of the cue ball. And when I see people struggling, it's a lot of times they're behind the cue ball. So a lot of the training I do is to get people in front of the cue ball, in front of the cue ball, in front of the cue ball. And everything behind the cue ball has to be trust, okay? Because what happens is, if you're concerned about your arm, Todd Eastman, and you think, my arm's not straight, my arm's not straight, my arm's not straight. When you come down, if you're here and you're like, my arm's not straight, my arm's not straight, my arm's not straight, keep my arm straight, keep my arm straight, keep my arm straight. It's like, who knows how you're gonna strike the ball, you know? Because you're thinking about all these, you're not thinking about and trusting and doing, right? And I get it, of course, Todd, if your ball's spinning, then you go back to the lesson we had, I don't know, a year ago, and you go to what I did first, which is, I don't want it to spin. I want it to stop without spinning. So I have a tendency to hit it to the right and have it spin a little bit. So I want to hit it to the left and check. Can I just finish through to the left? All behind the cue ball. Now when I strike, trust, go through to the left. No spin, not even a hair of spin. And was what I did in real time. Was I'm talking, I'm completely out of the moment, I'm completely behind the cue ball. And then right before I go, and I'm talking and I'm thinking, even here I'm behind the cue ball and I'm thinking, okay, finish out, a little bit left, not too much this, that, the other thing. You know, did I piss Todd off? I'm worried about all this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, now we're good. Now we're gonna hit it. And we're gonna just, one last visualization before I even draw back is make sure I finish through to the left, but not too far to the left, whatever I go through my rat trap brain. And then I go, pull back and I accelerate through and I trust, and then I find out. I trust and I find out, and I trust and I find out. And that's how I play pool. I trust and I find out. I trust and I find out. And that will go into your practice, and then that'll go into because what I just said is trust and find out, that's acceptance. And I'm trying to teach people acceptance, because that's a thing that's gonna help you in your competition, in your training, and your everything. Trust, find out. And if it didn't work, make an adjustment and work your way through it that way. But just trust and find out, and trust and find out. And when you hit enough shots and you can make the correction calmly and you can trust and find out, it fixes it. It gets fixed. So, okay, that's it. I love you, Todd, and I miss you, and we'll talk soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's all I got. I love you guys. Bye.